Germany, land of opportunity, the powerhouse of Europe, land of the BMW, of Christmas markets, of castles, of Goethe, of bread, of Berlin, of the Oktoberfest, and of course of the dirndl. My grandmother told me,
I don't care what they tell you in school.
There are only two universal truths in life. First, everything tastes better with avocado, and second, every woman looks even better in a dirndl. As a citizen of the neighboring Austria, I came to Germany to study nearly 11 years ago, and everything was pretty great at the beginning. I was welcomed warmly, and I love to live in a country that's big and important enough to really have a say in international politics. Before I came here, I thought everything about this country was pretty perfect. But the longer I've been living here, the more I realized that there are problems. Pretty big problems, actually, that grew exponentially in the last years and could potentially lead to the downfall of Germany's economy faster than most people would expect. So let's explore these reasons why Germany as a country is currently headed south. Welcome to German React. The taxes in Germany are very high. Not only for people with high incomes, but for people with average incomes as well. If you have an income of 62,000 euros a year, for example, you have to pay around 42% taxes, which is the second highest tax rate between the OECD countries after Belgium, actually. Okay, yes, you get a lot of social benefits for that, like health insurance and pension and employment benefits, which still makes Germany kind of attractive. And I wouldn't even complain about the high tax rates if Germany as a country wouldn't be breaking down pretty much. Because despite paying so much taxes, the infrastructure in Germany is, compared to other European countries with lesser tax rates, pretty shitty actually. Lots of German streets and bridges, for example, are in pretty bad condition and would urgently need replacement. The internet coverage is laughable with unbelievably bad internet speed and very unreliable reception compared to neighboring countries. The German trains are notoriously late, with only every other arriving its destination on time, which makes them super unreliable compared to neighboring Switzerland, France, or Austria, for example, as well. German pensions are also super low compared to other OECD countries, and of course, there is the well-known German bureaucracy. In Germany, you still have to visit the authorities for every triviality, which takes a lot of time and energy and a lot of taxpayers' money, actually. Everything is so slow, and there are a lot of countries where you could do all the stuff online, saving time and money. And there's this myth out there that Germany is a rich country. Well, the GDP per capita may be higher than in most other countries of the world, but so are the taxes. And instead of reinvesting the taxes in good infrastructure, the German government spends a lot of money elsewhere as if there was no tomorrow. For example, making very expensive social contributions, etc. So Germany may not be the flagship country it once was, but maybe the Germans are rich then? Well, it turns out this is absolutely not the case. The median net worth of the German population is around 65,000 euros, which means the average Frenchman or Italian has nearly double the net worth of the average German, because lots of Germans don't really buy property but live in rented accommodations. And on top of all that comes the German energy crisis. German electricity costs are 21% above EU average, and a whopping 45% higher than in France, for example. But still somehow the government decided to completely shut down every atomic power plant in Germany instead of, I don't know, building more. And why is that exactly, one might ask? Because it could blow up, of course. And we are Germany and we want to be a role model for the rest of the world. Yeah, that seems to be a major problem with Germany, actually. Very often the government wants to be a role model and therefore they decide to take the high road, despite various decisions hurting the economy badly. Somehow the government doesn't really seem to understand that it will only be taken seriously as a role model and be respected internationally if the economy is functioning fine and the country is prosperous, and not because of stupid virtue signaling that causes the economy to tank. And that it does, because as I mentioned before, Germany is in the midst of a big bad energy crisis because there is no Russian gas via the Nord Stream pipelines anymore. And then the government decides to switch off the nuclear power plants in addition to that. This is like a person being stabbed and then says to the perpetrator, please stab me again. I don't care if my body loses any more blood because my body will handle it anyways. The body being the German taxpayers' bank accounts in that scenario. Because now there are currently only two options. First, using more coal-fired power plants, which are infinitely worse for the environment. And or, second, importing more very expensive electricity from neighboring countries, which get their electricity from, drumroll please, atomic energy. Germany is actually pretty similar to my girlfriend. I prepare lunch and I ask her if she wants some, but she says no, that would make her fat. So I prepare exactly one portion for me, and guess who's right there when I start eating, trying to mooch food? Exactly. In 2011, we got 1/4 of our energy by nuclear energy. In 2023, it's 0%. And instead of producing their own energy, Germany now mooches from France, among others, because atomic energy is bad. I mean, why not completely renew the technology and bring it up to date, making it even safer? And German nuclear power plants were never the problem, actually, because they are probably the safest worldwide, while France's are in way worse condition. Well, but at least it's good that if one of those nuclear power plants in France, for example, would malfunction, the atomic cloud would, of course, not come to Germany because of borders, Similar story with oil and gas from Russia, by the way. The current German government are virtue signaling masters. They so proudly declared sanctions on cheap Russian oil and gas via the pipelines, only to import expensive Russian oil and gas via a third country via the LNG route. Because then it theoretically is no longer Russian oil and gas anymore, right? And they even decided to import more gas from Qatar, a country with Sharia law where whipping is still an official legal punishment. As a result, energy prices in Germany soar in addition to high taxes, and more companies decide to leave Germany. As a matter of fact, an alarming number of companies, way more than during the last 15 years. Inflation at the moment is super high, stifling Germans' purchasing power, and the economy will probably even shrink this year. CNN calls Germany the sick man of Europe. Yeah, but maybe Germany's economy could still recover from the energy crises if the current German government would not actually try to somehow destabilize the country even further. Yes, the same government that includes the Green Party, and they appointed a guy named Robert Habeck as economy minister. A guy with literally no political knowledge prior to becoming a party member, and who demonstrated that he has no clue what the term insolvency of a business means in national television. A guy that called patriotism puke-worthy in front of a camera and refuses to sing the national anthem at the Bundestag because, quote, homeland is a term for Nazis. Yeah, so Robert Habeck pretty much loves his country. And this Robert Habeck is the mastermind behind the new law the current German government just passed a few days ago. A law that requires German households by 2024 to gain their heating and electricity from 65% of renewable energies. Okay, to be fair, just new buildings, but by 2028, pretty much every building in Germany. The law is nice enough to still let you use your old heating system, but if that breaks, well, then you need a new system with renewable energies. Which sounds nice and noble, no doubt, but the problem is that for a house to be able to efficiently use renewable energies the way Robert Habeck imagines, it has to be sufficiently insulated, which could mean immense additional costs for an average German household, potentially up to 100,000 euros per 100 square meters for such a forced renovation. Which is funny because we saw before that the median net worth of a German is around 65,000 euros. Which could mean that if you don't really earn a lot of money, most retirees as well, there's a good chance that you're pretty much fucked. Because yes, the government promised that there will be state subsidies, but no specific numbers exist yet. And this will cost so much money that could otherwise be used for infrastructure, digitalization, or the downsizing of bureaucracy, for example. And Habeck's law is being passed actually, despite 2/3 of the German population is against it. And the funniest thing about it all, until 2030, the new law is supposed to save 33 million tons of CO2, which is, drumroll please, the same amount that China emits in
4 to 6 days.
Which means that the current German government risks to drive its population into poverty because some deluded people want to prove themselves with completely chaotic new laws that the majority of the population is actually against. Amidst the faltering economy, an energy crisis, and the decision for a nuclear phase-out. Sounds pretty good, right? All I can say to this is... So will a once great country like Germany get its act together and catch up with its competitors, or will it just cease to be a major international player and just fade into obscurity? A scenario that is well on the way, unfortunately. And I just want to make that clear, it's not just the current German government, it started well before that. Personally, of course I hope that Germany will become great again, because I actually really like this country. It became my home and most of my friends are living there. But let's see what happens, time will tell, I guess. Anyways, thanks for watching and see you next time.